Wonderful, wonderful, and welcome to the Real HD Show. We are your duohedron this evening. That's divine purpose. Don't get nervous. We about to go below the epidermis. We about to go deep in there, deep enough to swim in. You get in the Real HD Show. That stands for the higher discussion. I'm your host, Vic. You have tapped in for a couple hours of, self empowerment, awareness to move fearless. Like the intro said, we are doing it year four, year five, not counting. Why? Knowledge, wisdom, understanding, liberation, and freedom on the line. Who cares how long it takes? Got to beat the brakes or for the mistakes. Yes, sir. So we're here to get to it, do it like we always should. And we're going to get started with our sponsors, Redeem Vacations. Make sure if you bring five people to any of the Real HD shows, channel shows, that is, you too will get a 3-night, 4-day vacation courtesy of the Real HD show and Redeem Vacations. Okay. Also, we got Bats footwear all the way from the NOLA Revolutionary Soul Design. Uh, Fashion technology, good for the legs, the hips, the calves, the feet. Go check them out at an Amazon near you. Also, TPE, Total Package Energy. Make sure you mob their website, totalpackageenergy.com, right? Because they have the zips, the powders, the teas, the gels, the juices, the powders, everything, all natural company, Olympic tested, people approved, energy product, energy supplement, all natural. Because some of us have a second half to our day. So go check them out. Go give them your business. Tell them the Real HD show sent you. Um, Here it is at the bottom. You got them. Let's keep it rocking. Redeem Vacations, Bat Footwear, Total Package Energy. Okay, here we go. Now, um, we have, oh, no, also, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, turn on your comments, share, turn on your notifications so that every time we have a Real HD show, you too can tap in, link up, participate, get after this freedom and liberation movement that we got going on here through media, through melanated media, my show, other shows. As a matter of fact, my aim is to do more teams type of shows this year. That's right. So I want to get on all different types of platforms, bring all types of guests on, and combine with them to spread audiences. To I'll go on their channel, they'll come on my channel. We'll do it up. So look out for those collabos coming to the Real HD show coming up. But make sure give us a like, give us a subscribe. Make sure you tell us how we're doing on the Real HD TV network. And like always, we want to jump into our segments. Let's get started. Yeah, so we are in an AAT moment. Aero Aquaterra, as my man who authored the segment, my man Sincere, he'll be on here shortly. Anything on the land, under the sea, and under the air that's gonna make us healthy, we're gonna cover. Now, most of the time, I have my man Maccabee on here with a nice little rhyme for you about something healthy. That is not the case tonight. We're gonna do something a little bit different, a little bit specific, and it's about a place in the Caribbean called Guyana. Now, why is Guyana important? Because Guyana is at the center of something that has major implications for the world. And I'm not sure how many people are vibing with this, if they know about it, or if it even matters to them. But Guyana is the only place in the world, or one of the only places in the world, um, only one country in the world that produces all the food it needs, says BBC Science Focus. So I'm gonna share my screen. We are going to take a look at that, and we're gonna build on that too. Um, thanks to Glows Forever, she dropped that bomb on us. So I gotta play wifey stuff and make sure she gets all the love and the credit that she deserves for making this thing happen. You did that. So we're gonna play that on the show. And I hope as y'all begin to come in, y'all give us a retweet, y'all give us a Facebook post, y'all share the show, and y'all make sure y'all keep us rocking. We need y'all. We need y'all. We need y'all to keep us focused. We we need y'all to keep us rocking. We need y'all to keep us vital on the Real HD show. Only you could do that. I know there's a lot of voyeurs, a lot of people that like to watch. Please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. Doesn't take anything. It's less than 2 seconds of your time. Bop bop. Give us a thumbs down if you don't like what we're doing, because maybe we can learn something from that. But either way, engage with the algorithm. It helps us out, and it gives us a sample size of what we're going to look like when we go private outside of the major, you know, um, social media groups. When we go private, we need our audience rocking with us. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into it right now. Let's get into food sovereignty with a familiar Caribbean nation that a lot of people should know. Here we go. Get it back to the beginning. And here we
What if I
go.
told you there's only one country on Earth that produces all the food it needs? Not the US, not China, but Guyana, a small South American nation most people overlook. In a world full of food insecurity and rising import bills, Guyana has quietly pulled off what no one else has. A new global study published in Nature Food and reported by BBC Science Focus analyzed 186 countries across 7 essential food groups. Only Guyana met the threshold for all of them. This includes meat, dairy, fish, vegetables, fruits, starchy staples, and plant-based proteins. While major economies scramble to secure supply chains, this CARICOM nation is thriving in the one sector the world is now realizing is most critical: food security. The Nature Food study measured how much of each country's food supply is produced domestically. The researchers wanted to know, could a country feed itself without any imports? In a world plagued by global shipping shocks, climate change, and geopolitical tensions, that's a serious question. The results were shocking. Superpowers like China and Vietnam came close, covering 6 of the 7 food categories, but only Guyana managed all 7. Even agricultural giants like Brazil and the US fell short in one or more food groups. This makes Guyana a global outlier, not just in the Caribbean or South America, but in the entire world. It's a monumental achievement for a country with fewer than a million people. This didn't happen by accident.
All right. So we are back on the show. If you want to continue to listen to that, there's a Facebook post on this. It's from Emerald Digital Productions. You guys can go there and see the entire video. The entire video. It's not long. It's about 4 minutes. I played about a minute and a half of it on here, but I think you guys get the gist. Are we back? Okay. So I gotta pull around my camera a little bit. All right, let me stop sharing. I'll stop that. Maybe that will clear things up. Okay. There we go. Hey, I'm back. Okay. So we're back and we're talking about the country of Guyana and how they're one of the only countries in the world that are uh, food sovereign. So sovereign means king or control of one's territories, right? And food is, of course, the digestible goodness from nature that keeps us thriving and surviving. Um, and Guyana is is the number one country that controls its own food. Even the big Western powers, the UK's, the Brexits, the United States, Canada, they don't control their own food destiny like Guyana does. And I was just doing some research on them, and they're involved heavy with BRICS. They're not a BRICS member, but they're involved heavy with BRICS, the BRICS movement, the BRICS dollar that they're trying to develop. And if they can do that, along with getting a head start on the oil, creating a new oil dollar, and I don't know, maybe they'll create a food dollar. The future is very uncertain, but we do know that it's way past bedtime for the natural, the countries that rule in natural resources, for them to rule the roost, for them to get their due, for them to be acknowledged, for them to be have a seat at the table, the world table, and for them to, you know, be acknowledged as a force in the world. So in an article called Science Focus by BBC, only one country in the world produces all the food it needs through a food study, and that's Guyana, right? And we're looking for the rest of the info. It's popping up. Guyana, only country by this study to produce enough food to feed its people in all seven food groups. New Zealand is not pictured in the map. Well, I'm not showing you the map, but there's a map here as I read. Um, Europe, South America, well, we're generally closer to being self sufficient than other countries, but in small island states, countries on the Arabian Peninsula, and low income countries were more likely to rely on foreign imports of food. And six countries: Afghanistan, United Arab Emirates, Iraq, Macau, Qatar, and Yemen did not produce enough food to be considered self sufficient in that category. Low sufficiency is not inherently bad, says one researcher. Quote, there are valid and beneficial reasons why a country may not produce the majority of its food needs. And, my group was building on this very thing. And one of the things that we mentioned was how, certain countries have, various economic exploits, right? So one country might, sell bananas, another country might sell cacao, another country they might sell oil, and they might depend on the, Western powers to buy their stuff at a rate that will, you know, sufficiently, rise their GDP, right? But what happens is they get into this shell game of, well, I can't buy from you if you can't buy from my country, feed your country, unless you buy from our country first. You buy our garbage first. A lot of African countries get caught up with this, um, and a lot of Caribbean countries get caught up with this. And it sounds like this is what's going on in major areas. Cuba, Haiti, DR, they all go through something very similar. Um, Peace, Sister Aurora. What's happening? Welcome to the
Hey,
room.
how are you? Thank you.
I'm doing well. I like your background. That's fly.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're talking about trying to get back to the setting that I had earlier, or at least something that looks decent.
I was just gonna go off just a little. I ran in late, and I
Oh, no, there
need
you
to
go.
just
Now we're
grill
we're
some
better.
food. Okay.
We're better. Gotta get Sister Aurora to come and light up the screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. How you doing? How's everybody?
Oh,
How's the fam? Everybody
everyone's
good?
everyone is good. Everything is good. You know.
Feeling all right? Everything's good?
Yeah, like they always tell you, it's gonna get bad before it gets better. So
Well, one day at a time. One day at a
that's
time.
it. That's all we do.
Yeah, we're talking about food sufficiency, and we're talking about how only one country in the entire world has enough food to be self-sufficient, and that is the country of Guyana.
Wow.
Even Western nations don't produce enough food on their own to be self-sufficient, but Guyana does. And
Wow.
Guyana happens to be down with the BRICS countries. They're not a member, but they're doing a lot of business with them through
Mhm.
CARICOM and things like that. I think it's only a matter of time before they become a BRICS member nation. And what does that say in your estimation? What does that say about Western powers that we're not creating? We live in a Western country, of course. That's the only reason I included us. But why do you think Western countries aren't in control of their own food supply? Why do we
Oh,
have to go outside and get so much of our produce?
always. I think one of the things, and shout out to my cousins in Guyana. I have family there. I
Hey,
have
see,
family there.
you do everything. You know what? I'm gonna go off the show, man. I'm gonna let you host.
No,
It's the
I have
it's the
family
it's the it's the it's the Sister Aurora show. Go ahead, have at
there. So I shout out to, but I think for us
it.
is
I'm
that
just teasing. I'm just teasing.
our nation goes after the most, capitalistic,
Mm,
unrealistic items,
mm,
and they don't even support their own farmers that could maybe supply enough food for us, but they stopped supporting them long ago.
mm,
Especially the black farmers, they rarely get any support from government, and so which is really odd because a lot of those farms, and especially when you're coming out through parts of Virginia and even in Jersey, there's a lot of farmland out there and a lot of ranches and things, and but a lot of that happens to have been owned by black farmers who are not getting the support or the government tickets. The government will sit there and pay one lone farmer and sit there and allow them to staff the place with illegal aliens until they don't want it anymore. So, that's
mm.
why we don't support enough. And so it's always good, if you're in those areas, even on Long Island, our potato farmers, shout out to them. Many of them who started out there first, they were the black settlers, and so we just got to start supporting them more. Just can't go out for the strawberry picking and the pumpkin picking. We gotta
We
support them
love
a little
that.
bit
We
more.
love some of that.
Yes, we always do that.
Take the kids. They lose their mind out there.
Uh-huh. Pumpkin, and so all
Uh
of those
huh.
different things. But we have to start really supporting our farmers and those who are actually growing food. I mean, the little towns always have these little stores, and that's why they always vote not to have a Walmart nearby because it will just sweep away everybody who has a little, mom and pop shop in these rural areas. And so we got to just really start supporting them. That's why we don't. And again, we're going after everybody else's diamonds and oil, and you can't eat that.
Yeah. Do you think the American menu or the American palate, the American diet, has something to do with why we're so wasteful, or we don't have enough, control, or we don't,
Yeah. I mean, come on.
master our food the way we should?
Right. Not only don't we master it, but you know how you're always telling your kids, look, don't waste food. There's starving people in the world. And
Mm,
they don't recognize that until you become one of those families who are starving because something happens to the check or something like that. we're way wasteful. You see people in restaurants and you see plates full of food after they've paid their check, and they're not coming with them. It's food not coming with them. Is, oh, throw it away. You know, I be at the restaurant like, oh nope, y'all scraping all of that stuff in the pot. We taking all that with us. If you're not eating it right now, you will eat it later. So yeah, we have not been on that value of not having, and
Mm.
even those who are homeless know what it's like to to have, but and still be wasteful.
We
Because
the we the richest poor people in the world,
exactly, that's exactly it. The richest poor
huh?
people in the world.
Yeah, man. So I have a theme that I always think of when I think of stuff like that. Shout out to Auntie Bernice down in Fort Coffee, Alabama. One of the still farmers, still going. I hope you're still alive, sister. I hope you're still rocking and rolling with your spicy self. She's one of the. She got to be about 90 now. She was one of the early farmers that was involved with that bill that big congressional bill where all the black farmers got together and sued Congress for subsidies,
Yes.
and they won. And they had to return and do it again in the 80s. Then they had to return and do it again in the 90s, and then they had to return and do it again recently. But Auntie Bernice was involved with that, Elder Bernice, and I wish her well. I hope her daughters are still able to keep their land, keep their farm,
Mhm.
and do great things with it. But
I would
thinking
love
about
to have
that,
the
right?
address to support them.
Yeah, they're in Fort Coffee, Alabama, and I don't have the address. Bad on me, but I'll get it and I'll bring it on the show.
Yes.
When I was working with my UN group, she was a regular caller into the UN group that we were working with during COVID, because
Oh,
we needed
okay.
like a food arm. She was
Mm-hmm.
our food resource arm for what we were doing, and I miss you, man. I miss your jokes, Auntie Bernice. I had her on the show too. So if you want to come on the show again, Auntie Bernice, you still alive and doing your thing and sipping tea and telling people where to go or how fast to get there, come through on the show. We love you. Come through. Come build with us. Tell us how you doing. Tell us what's going on with that government money that they supposed to give you. And if we could light a fire on the show for you, we'll do so. Let us know. But she was telling me about how cultural and how the ecosystem of a farmer actually is in real time, boots on the ground. You go to
Mm-hmm.
your creek, you get your water. You go to your well, you get your water. Like, it's very agrarian lifestyle. You know what I mean? So it
Mm-hmm.
made me take a look at some of the black intentional communities all over the country that do the very same thing. They take it back to the fundamentals. They don't take food and produce and agrarian life for granted. So, in case anybody doesn't know, black intentional communities have deep roots in Western American history with modern examples inspired by historical precedents like maroon communities in the Caribbean and towns built by Black people after the emancipation. These intentional communities, which are often Afrocentric, provide residents with safe, cultural, affirming spaces for living, healing, and mutual support. So, one of them is the parable of the sower intentional community, run by women. It develops multiple communities over time, emphasizing sustainable economics, political education, and natural healing practices. Sundiata, a 15-acre autonomous community described as a sovereign space for African people. The name, which means we are growing in Zulu, reflects the focus on living according to righteous values and standards of joy and love. The Black Oaks Center for Sustainable and Renewable Living, organization that focuses on building resilience through sustainable culture, renewable energy, and natural building techniques. It also emphasizes psychological resilience. Wow, that's a lot. That's a mouthful.
Mm-hmm.
And is an example of an eco village centering and focusing on the Black experience. The cooperative New West Jackson. Stop me at any time, Sister Bernice, if you want to rock out on any of these things. You got a thought or a comment or what have you, stop me anytime. This is located in Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi. This group has developed cooperative businesses and focuses on neighborhood organizing and urban agrarian lifestyles. The Soul Fire Farm, situated right here in upstate New York by me. Hey, shout out to the Soul Fire Farm. Black, indigenous, and people of color individuals, and is dedicated to ending racism and injustice in food systems. It serves both as a farm and a hub for food justice in community building. And then, of course, there's more recent Georgia 90 Acres community that does the very same thing. What do you think of those? What do you think of the, black, what do you call that? Intentional communities. And with the foodflation that we're going through right now, I made that up. Don't bite my stuff, CNN. I'm coming
But
for you.
snatch that
I'm,
food
I'm gonna
inflation.
send y'all an invoice if I hear one of y'all say foodflation.
Food
I'm coming.
inflation.
Don't bite my foodflation. But go ahead. What do you think of these black intentional communities? Can they be a solve for what we go through as a people? So many food deserts and so many communities that black people reside in all over the diaspora. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's great, and we need more of that. We used to have that,
Yeah.
uh, and it's disheartening that we can't be two people or two families and start businesses and things like that and share with one another. I used to always think that like I we always ate over at my neighbor's house, and then my neighbors would be at my house, and so we always like, oh yeah, we shared food. We always ate together until later on, our parents said that's because we pulled our resources. So, for all of us, I said, well, but we never knew that, like we pulled, but the two families pulled the resources because at that time, there was only one person working in a household. Mom was home with a bunch of kids. And
Right.
so they came up together to have the idea to share meals. And we always just thought that we were just so close, that hey, we eat breakfast over here, we eat dinner over there, dinner over here, breakfast over there. And for a
Yeah.
long time, we just thought it was because we were just neighborly. We didn't know that our
Yeah.
parents came up with an idea to pool their resources so everybody ate.
Oh,
It
that's
would
so
never be
fire.
done.
That's
Everybody ate.
how, my wife's block, she lived in Queens on 212th Street.
Mhm.
And she tells me the Chronicles of 212th Street. And
Yeah.
her grandparents bought the big house in the middle of the block. And they got the Pollisworths and the Singletons and the Didas and the Howards and the whoever it was. And it would just be like potluck every summer night, in her
Mhm.
memory. She was a little girl back then, but in her memory, it was just this really, really, and it
They
probably
go
was.
barbecue kind of thing.
Yeah, it was this very, very communal nature, very, very,
That's Northgate in
each one
Unionville. I
reach
gotta shout
one.
that out.
Yeah, absolutely,
That's how
absolutely.
we used to do. That's how we
Yeah,
used to do.
man. We got to get back to that. We got to stop being so proud. If you need
Absolutely.
something, bring them grills out. It's not too late.
Right.
We still getting some decent sunlight.
Mhm.
Bring them coolers out. Make sure the
Right.
babies got something to eat. Make sure the elderly got something in their tummy. It's
Mhm.
not too late.
All the
So I just
time.
wanted to show that on the show real quick. I thought in these times of foodflation, um, things like that are very important, and we need to know that those things were in our ecosystem as a people, and we
Mhm.
need to reclaim those things. You know what I mean? And that
Exactly.
was our AAT health report for this week. So now we're going to jump into our lit city report. Um, the wild, wacky, wonderful things that make our world go round. And we're gonna get to it right now. Here we go. So we're in the middle of the AAT report, the wild, the wacky, the wonderful things that make our world go round. Because we need levity, we need a lot of things, but we definitely need to appreciate each other, appreciate our accomplishments, and appreciate what that means for our future. So, everybody's running around. They're in a they're in a CK. We called them CK on the last show because we don't want to give him too much credit for anything,
For
right?
nothing.
Yeah, but the world isn't everybody, the world is punch drunk over this guy like he did something great. Everything is about this dude. They're flying flags at half mast. They're doing big dedications to him. I'm surprised they didn't get one of our soul singers to come out and do a benediction to the dude. You know what I mean? I'm shocked.
They
I'm
couldn't get
surprised.
Kanye in the phone.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't stop the Yankee game in the seventh inning and have some Pavarotti come out and sing for this dude. Anyway, so um, there was some dudes that decided to do some CK wannabes. So you know how that is. You think it works in one environment, and then they try to recreate it in another environment. They get a battery in their back. They start puffing out their chests. They start putting their chin high. They think they can say this or say that or say the third, and something real interesting happened. So I'm gonna put the picture up of the interesting thing that happened, and we'll talk about it on as soon as I could put this up on the other side. Are you familiar what happened at Tennessee State?
Yeah, they were talking about it on the news and all the Instagrams.
Yeah, yeah. So these two dudes decided, or not two or three. It was a couple of them, more
Yeah,
than a couple,
yeah.
and they decided to go to Tennessee State and talk that CK wannabe nonsense. And brothers and sisters
Ain't having,
ran their butts off.
ain't having that.
They ran their butts off. So here's one picture of it. As soon as it loads up, and you can go to News One and get this article. Um, they ran their butts off campus. Um,
Like they always say, don't let Trump's foolishness get your ass.
right, right. Today at Fearless Debaters Tour, tabled in HBCU at Tennessee State University, and after 10 minutes, a literal riot erupted. I didn't read this before I put it on here, so they stole our stuff. They followed us to the car. They attacked the car, shouting "Black Power," and blocked our exit to the campus. I'm not even gonna play anything else. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Yo, you don't even need too much of an accurate picture. Let me move the banner real quick so you can actually see. So they called themselves the Fearless Debaters. I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know how fearless they was when the football players came out that dome and the basketball players came out and the
Well,
marching
yeah,
band followed and the say, y'all got the wrong ones.
mhm.
Your thoughts on something like that? What do you think?
I mean, and that's one of the things
We
people
laugh, but man,
people are, getting this foolish entitlement because
uh
they're
huh,
thinking that they're gonna get covered, and every time somebody tries it, they find the right one. You know,
right, right.
I
You don't
mean,
got
find
no
the right one.
you don't got CK security. You gonna
Thank
learn
you.
today. You
That's
gonna
right.
learn today. Like
That's right. And that's just how we said. You heard? We're gonna
you,
learn.
you gonna learn today. Yo,
Yeah. I
shout out
mean,
to Kevin Hart. Shout out to Kevin Hart. But
mhm.
yeah, man. Oh boy, that was just so crazy. I was just like, what makes the thing? That reminds me of what they tried to do in Ohio on that bridge near Cincinnati.
Mhm.
And the brothers
Or
came out there in two or
mhm,
three trucks and was like,
right, or the
y'all need
Mississippi.
to, y'all
You
need to
know,
cut the corner. Like, this is gonna get ugly real quick. Cut the
yeah.
corner, pack it all up, cut the corner. It's gonna get ugly real fast.
Another one of those throw the hat up.
Yeah,
Remember
like
running.
so my thought on this, right, is I'm glad to see the young brothers and sisters standing up for themselves and recognizing the danger when it's clear and present.
Right,
But now what I would also like for them to see, and I wonder what you think about this, is them being a little more organized for things like that, being a little more like and the campus.
right,
Because with the recent events, anything could pop off right there. And a lot of
Exactly.
HBCUs have been getting threats, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see more organization, almost militia-like organization, so that these young people could be protected.
Yeah.
And even if it's them leading the charge of being protected, so be it. But let's see it. Let's get them
Mm-hmm.
in that on code and in that headspace where this is our place, this is our space. We pay tuition here. You know, this
Right.
is going to be our alumni for our whole life. If this means something to us, we gonna protect it. We don't have to threaten you to protect it, but just know if something pop off, you're gonna be on the wrong end of things here.
Right.
Fearsome Poor. They sound like a rap group from the 80s. The Fearsome Poor. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yo.
So you're running.
Uh-huh. So I thought that was a good thing to highlight for our Lit City report. And then also I want to talk about something else that came up. And I wanna my man Sincere sent me this. Let me open it up from Instagram. I'm gonna share my screen and then we can go to it. And this is about one of the pioneers of punk rock. And it was this group called Death. Have you ever heard of them?
Death.
Yeah, early 70s out of Michigan.
Mm.
Yeah, real interesting. And they get the credit with being one of the very first punk rock groups. And I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to open it up. Let's see. Okay. And we'll get into a band called Death, pioneers of punk rock. Here we go.
Called Death in the 70s, and they found these old recordings, and they have an album that they put out now. They had pictures of these guys back in the 70s. One of them died, and now I'm dying to hear this fucking group's music. Just
What were they called?
They were called Death.
Have you heard me play the music standing up waiting? Shot, something fast. All the trees were flying, all the thoughts were dying. Heard, something fast.
The quick version of the Death story is almost like the tease at the beginning of a movie trailer. Three black guys in the 70s from Detroit, Michigan, blood brothers.
Three black cats from Detroit played heavy punk, rock and roll.
It's pretty hard to be black playing rock in Detroit because there was sort of stereotyped into you had to be Motown if you were black.
Death's music was definitely ahead of its time. They really predated what we know as the punk movement.
Nobody was making music like that in 73.
They have to be properly credited as being visionaries.
You have a record that is so perfect in its innovation, it makes it all the more shocking that it didn't manage to find a way to come out then.
They're kind of like the unknown soldiers of rock.
They're recordings that they were simply put away. There's been hardcore history sitting up in that attic, and no one's known about it.
30 years after the fact, we're just now discovering this band that had been sort of lying in wait.
It's such a great story, and it's punk rock.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Where do we go from
All right, we're back on the Real HD show. That was a punk rock band called Death, and they were a 70s punk rock band. Let me read
Yeah,
their
I already
whole
know what
piece.
happened.
The punk rock band had a name, three brothers from Detroit making history A Band Called Death is a compelling documentary that tells the story of David Bobby and Dennis Hackney, whose band Death was creating hard driving rock music in the 70s, years before punk rock became a movement. Um, Despite recognition from record labels and society expectations, rejection, I'm sorry, despite rejection from record labels, society expectations, their music was rediscovered decades later, finally earning them a recognition they deserved as the pioneers of punk. I'm gonna say that again, as the pioneers of punk. So you got Ozzy Osbourne contributing to this. You got Kid
Mhm.
Rock contributing to this. Henry Rollins. You got some
Mhm.
major rock dudes. Questlove, who's a band DJ.
You got
You got
Kiss.
some Kiss. Yeah, I mean, you got
Uh,
some major heavy hitters contributing to, what this looks like.
mhm.
And what do you think of that?
Well, you know
What's
what
your,
happened? Somebody heard them and took their sound and went out there to capitalize on it. Before
yeah.
they can get there.
One of the things I was reading on them is that they said that they were kind of marred because music just wanted R&B from Motown, that Motown sound.
Mhm.
You had to be funk. You couldn't be rock. You see what I mean?
Right.
You had to do Ohio Players. You couldn't
Who
do
was recently?
you
I
couldn't do or you had to be like Daft Punk. Daft
Right.
Punk was like late, 70s, early 80s, but they were right on the cusp of the 70s doing their thing. And I think, they got kind of overlooked by the industry. I don't know if it was racism or what it was, but I know there was a crap ton of groups that came out before and after them doing the same thing.
Mhm.
And if they were the progenitors of it, they should have at least gotten the credit. How many samples, how many loops, how many styles, how many, you know, like the five heartbeats,
Mhm.
you play one chord for a record company and they run off and give it to a white band to do the very same thing and call it their own. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it's just like and I was trying to remember because a couple of years back when I found out, I'm like, get the hell out. Ice T does heavy metal, and he
Ice
started a
T.
band. Yeah,
Really?
Ice T, the
Wow.
heavy
Okay.
rapper. He does heavy metal, and he
Okay.
started a group called Body Count. And so I
You
was
know
wondering,
what? I did hear that.
you did,
I did
yeah,
hear
because
that.
I actually got the music to hear one of the songs, and
Uh-huh.
then on it, it said that he's had this group since like 1989 or something like that, and which I
Wow.
didn't know. And so I'm like, this is not Ice. And sure enough, he
It
is
sure
the lead
was.
on this group, and he established himself as a rapper to fund the group. So
Right.
he is, and he told that story too. And I was like, I said, this is not Ice T. And they have literally been performing since the 80s, in the 90s. And I was like,
Yeah.
and yeah, and so his group is it's called Body Count because I actually during this time was actually listening to one of the new songs that was put out. And like it says, what are you listening to? I said, that's Ice T. I said, that's his group. I said, and that's him.
Wow.
And he's the lead person in this group. And
Yeah.
he said he funded himself as a rapper, noting that, we weren't going to accept a black heavy metal group. He says that
Mm.
wasn't what it did, but he was into heavy metal. And I was like, I can't
Wow.
believe this. And sure enough, but I remember I actually had it on something I had before my fire took it away. But it was a picture, a poster thing that I had gotten, and it was Ice T in front of his heavy metal band. And I was like, get that, because I mean, and their heavy metal band is all black, or majority
Right.
black, I should say. And they're black,
Yeah.
and they literally have been performing since the late 80s, 90s. I couldn't believe it.
Right.
I
Hey,
mean,
peace, brother Mozzie. What's going on, man? We talking
How's everybody
about
doing?
we
hey,
doing
brother
well,
Mosby,
man.
how
How are
are you?
you? How's everybody?
Good, good, good.
All right. We're in the middle of the Lit City Report, and we're talking about the pioneering punk rock band called Death out of Detroit, Michigan. Turns out you got Kiss, you got Henry Rollins, you got Kid Rock, you got what's homeboy that just died? Ozzy Osbourne.
Mm-hmm.
All giving them credit as the pioneers of the punk rock sound that was so pervasive in the 70s and the 80s in music. And I just wanted to highlight that for the folks to know that we do everything.
Mm-hmm.
We do everything, man. Like
Yep.
it's good.
That we do.
You ever heard of them, bro?
I have. I don't think I have, because on the
Okay.
punk rock side, and maybe I did hear them, but excuse me. You know, they tried to actually give the start to the punk rock sound
Mm-hmm.
to a group out of Europe and out of England that was in the, you know, in the backways and the alleyways, and came over here, and they were in San Francisco, and they were in
You
New
talking about
York.
Queen?
No.
Not Metallica, right? Or
Well,
No,
I know Queen made a lot of noise in the mid '80s.
Well, Queen was more of that corporate rock
Right.
sound.
We will
The
rock
punk
you, and
sound,
we are the champions, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and they would do like big productions that they kind of got from like Earth, Wind, and Fire and those guys.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to remember the guy's name, man. But it was a couple bands that, you know, they tried to give the credit to in popular media. So it's kind of nice to see that those who followed that, who tried to emulate that sound and help kind of explode that genre, gave respect to those who created it.
Yes. They Sister Aurora was talking about Ice-T's rock band.
Yeah, heavy metal.
I know, right, heavy metal, and I know that Jada Pinkett had a heavy metal rock band in the late '90s, early 2000s. She shaved the head off. She did the big chop, and
Right. Remember? Yeah, her too.
she was doing her thing that way. And then you had Most Def. He had a rock band, and then
Most
Pharoah
Def too.
Monch. Yeah, Most Def too. He did an album, a whole rock album. He's mostly a hip hop artist, but he did a whole rock album. And then who else was it? Pharoah Monch. He did an album called 13, and he had a heavy. His whole joint is Scarecrow is the ish. So if you want to just get a real kind of walk this way, Run DMC, feel, go listen to Scarecrow by Pharoah Monch. Excellent record. Excellent record.
Yeah.
Blends
Well, I
that.
hate to say,
Blends
I
that
think that
well.
I tend to think Jada was looking for a way to stay in popular media. I don't think she was really into the music.
Okay.
You know, and it was really, especially on the rock side, the hard rock side, you know, you had Fish. You know, you had
Fishbone was dope.
Yeah. There was one other one too. They won a Grammy too. What was the name of that group?
I can't recall.
Cult of Personality was their hit song.
What was it? What was the song?
Cult of Personality.
Cult of Personality.
Yeah, I saw those guys in concert.
Yeah. I remember. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember. Yep. That's all for us 80 babies, man. I had to watch Friday night videos. And
yeah, man.
You had to sit through like an hour or two of rock videos just to get to your favorite hip hop or R&B video that you wanted to see. I hated that.
Well, it's tough for me because my mother wasn't paying for cable. She said, "I'm not paying for television." So when cable first came out, you know, I was always had to at my buddy's house, and that's the only place where I can really watch.
Right.
You know, cable, because she told my aunt was like, well, she ain't gonna do it either. So if she had my whole family listening to her, we don't be paying for no TV. TV's free. It's like, oh Lord, I'm gonna always be the kid running behind.
Right. I even think Rick James dabbled in some heavy metal too. But I think he found
Rick
his
James, remember Rick James' earlier stuff, he was in a rock band in his earlier days.
Yeah.
When he,
right here
Rick
from the
James,
Rock, right here from Rochester, New York. Let's go.
he's from Buffalo.
Well, same area. Yeah. we'll claim him for the night. He's ours for the night.
He deserted the Navy and was living up in Toronto for many years with a rock band.
Yeah.
And they actually had made it pretty big. And he went out to California, but they couldn't deal with the Rick James persona that was bubbling up underneath.
Oh yeah.
And so they got cut loose. And that's when he went back and he served his time and and then he came back out to the West Coast. But we got to really give the homage to, because when you start talking about rock music, it really just came down to distortion with the guitar. Because a lot of rock is really nothing but blues music amplified.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And all you listen to, those who know music theory and stuff, know that 9 times out of 10, those guys are playing some type of blues chord that they're inverting and screaming real loud. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They got the Wes Montgomery thing happening. They're just not acknowledging it.
Yeah.
If anybody knows about the legendary guitar player Wes Montgomery, go check him out. If you're a jazz enthusiast.
Don't forget about Grant Green.
Yeah, real dope. So I thought I'd throw that Lit City report out there for the people. If anybody out there can relate, wants to relate, please, get in with us and put it in the comments. Bless you. And let's have a conversation in the replay about death, or even if you want to talk about the CK wannabes that got ran off of Tennessee State trying to clown out. And them brothers and sisters was like, you ain't him. Get up out of here. You ain't him. Get out of here. Ran him off the campus. Did you hear about that one?
Memories back.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of the clip. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
But they came and set up shop the whole 9 yards, and before they know it, they were like, we need to go.
Yeah. I think it's in our best interest that we get in the car. Yeah.
But it's sad because we have individuals, man. What does that say about you as an individual? That as a Black person, that people can talk about you like that, and you sit there and agree with them as if you're not Black. That's heavy duty. I mean, we got that locally, and there's nothing wrong with being Republican. But, when we look at Republicans in general, they're very anti-Black. So how do you reconcile that? And then how do you let them sit there and talk about, for example, they're only 13% of the population, but they commit 80% of the crimes. Like, no, you're telling the story wrong. It's actually 1350, and the 50% is 50% of the arrests made. Has nothing to do with the crime itself.
Right.
But the unfortunate part is, we get people up there that want to justify, that look like us, or we get those who want to argue the point and they're not learned enough to be able to argue correctly. But I did see
that's really the problem, is the language. A lot of us don't have the language to articulate, a legit rebuttal to things like that. So then those things stand as like there's some sort of made point, when we never hear the macro statistics about crime in the country, because we're not the dominant population in the country. So we can't be the dominant portion of the crime statistics.
Right.
How's that even possible? We're like 1,000th of a percent of people living in Utah. So what's Utah's crime statistics?
Exactly.
Why we're not talking about that? Why we're not talking about Wyoming's crime statistics? What does that mean nationally? You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. It's a nice facade to, butter people up, keep the brand moving, keep the brand pushing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there was a nice young. One of the beauties is there's a young sister. I forget where they were, that actually had a nice debate with him. And what was really nice was she was very, soft spoken, and she made some points. And every time she would make a point, he would, the usual, they start getting into the straw man discussion, and he starts switching up. Uh, and he kept trying to make a point opposite. We're talking about blue crayons, and somehow all of a sudden he done instituted, purple markers into the mix. I'm like, well, wait a minute. We weren't talking about that. What they got to do with what I just said? She was very sharp. So you get a chance to see it out there. It's a really good to watch. And just watch the crowd that was there, which was even funnier because it was a gentleman standing next to her. He's trying to look all presidential. He has his blue suit and his red tie on.
You talking about CK?
And he just, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm talking about the debate he had with a sister in the crowd.
Right. Do you know where it was? Well, like what university that was? Because I'll pull it up.
I do not. I happen to see it on what's the brother that got the African Network News? I think it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Philip Scott.
He had it on his channel.
Okay.
They were talking about it.
Let me see if I can find it.
And they're talking about just how people, basically Charlie Kirk, I didn't mean to say his name, damn. Yeah. Basically.
He shall remain nameless.
How it goes. They only debate idiots. I hate to say it like that, but when it came down to it, when he got to talk to someone who actually was pretty well versed,
right,
and able to deal with, how he switches things up constantly. She put it to him, man. It was a very nice guy. I mean, it was one of the first times where he actually sat, where I saw, where he actually tried to they were having a conversation back and forth. And, but, you can see the guy getting tripped up. You can see that he's getting caught out there. And you can see how he blatantly makes the change. And, and then he tries to throw in the little slick remarks and, little side comments, and like, nah, bro, she got you on this, man. But it don't matter because his followers, they don't listen, and they don't make sense, and they don't care to not make sense. So engaging people like that ain't even worth it no more.
Yeah, I was gonna play it, but I said I'm not giving this dude no spotlight. He got enough spotlight.
Exactly.
We got enough spotlight. Hey, man, let's deal with this, man. Let's go to some Power to the People news. Power to the People news. Wait, what just happened? This just happened. I hate always talking about this dude, but he's such a bombastic figure right now, and he kind of has a lot of managerial capacity over the country, right? So this Trump dude was talking about utilities. And then we always have these, circular conversations about this CK dude, and then we take our aim off the target, and other things are going on while everybody's, wondering what's going on with the Kool-Aid man. Why is the Kool-Aid man jumping through the wall? Oh yeah. So Trump had this whole piece going on about the utility bills and how I just want to show y'all a clip. It might have already popped up in certain circles, but I want to review it, and then I wanted to play something a little more recent that I found about utility bills, especially smart meters, and how they wanted to force everybody to get these smart meters into everybody's home, attached to everybody's home, garage, basement, however they did it. And now we're dealing with the aftermath of it, and it's not all that meets the eye. Let's check this first part of it out, and then we'll get to the other one. Here we go.
Your water, electricity, and phone bills will be automatically sent to the IRS every month. Under this
Hold on, let me
new federal measure, utility companies and
let me start it over. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna start that over. Whatever reason it didn't play right.
starting January 2026, your water, electricity,
Come on. Behave yourself. Come on.
and phone bills will be automatically sent to the IRS every month. Under this new federal measure, utility companies and telecom providers
Come on.
will be required to transmit detailed records of your bills directly to the government, including the amount paid, consumption patterns, contract address, and account holder name. Officials say the goal is to cross-check lifestyle data with income declarations in order to detect discrepancies between reported earnings and actual spending. According to reports cited by the Wall Street Journal, the policy is part of a broader crackdown on tax fraud and undeclared income. For example, if someone claims to live alone on a low income but pays unusually high utility bills or maintains multiple phone lines, they could be flagged for investigation. Low-income households receiving federal assistance will also be closely monitored to ensure eligibility. In cases where inconsistencies are identified, the IRS
Come on.
will have the power to launch an audit without prior notice.
All right, so I think we get the point. I think we get the point. Sorry about the lagging in the video. Y'all still with me?
Yep.
Yeah, man. So basically, they're saying that Trump will institute the IRS to monitor people's utility bills, and that's crazy as hell. But what's even crazier is what's going on with these smart readers. Have y'all heard or have y'all been paying attention to what they say the smart readers can do? So give me 1 second. I'll put this other one up because I downloaded this one. Sorry, that one was being. I was actually streaming that one. I wasn't. That one wasn't actually downloaded. I was trying to save my poor computer, downloading all these daggone videos. But here's one right here that we can check out. I'm only gonna play about maybe 2 minutes of it, but it's definitely informative. Check this out.
Monitor your sleeping habits. But if you have a smart utility meter in your house, they can. And you probably never agreed to let cops monitor.
Hold on. Let me get it to like 30 seconds. That's when it really starts. All right, here we
the
go.
Specific steps you can take to stop cops from spying on your smart meter. We've all heard of smart meters. Smart meters are advanced digital electric meters that utilities install to monitor electricity consumption in near real time. Now look, utility providers promote them for efficiency and grid management, but their constant monitoring It comes with a privacy cost. We all remember the old days with the traditional analog meters, where they could only really be read once a month. Well, now under the new smart meters, you have utility companies being able to check real-time usage within 30, 15, sometimes every 5-minute interval. And in fact, some utility companies have smart meters that are able to detail exactly the actual power usage you are consuming by a minute-to-minute detail. This means power companies aren't just tallying how much power you use, they're able to see exactly how you're using your power on a minute-by-minute notice. Now, if you think about this detail paints a pretty vivid picture of exactly what's going on in your home. Utility companies admit that each appliance in your home and device has a distinct electrical signature, which is a pattern of power that is drawn when it turns on, it runs, and it turns off again. By matching your utility consumption with the actual signature that appliances give off, utility companies admit they can figure out exactly what you're doing minute by minute inside your home. For example, a spike in usage at 6:30 in the morning would indicate an occupant waking up and turning on lights or kitchen appliances. But an absence of spikes during weekdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. may suggest that no one is home because you're at work. Whereas consistent usage at those times could imply occupancy. Maybe someone's working from home or a stay-at-home family member. In other words, power companies admit they can determine all kinds of things about how you're living and what you're doing in your home. Things like your sleeping patterns, your actually appliance usage, and your lifestyle and your habits. As one expert said, smart meters may reveal occupants' daily schedules, times when they're home, away, or asleep, whether the home has an alarm system, if they own expensive electronics like plasma TVs, or if they use certain medical equipment.
All right, so there we have it. Trying to bring y'all back in. What do y'all think? What's your first thoughts on this?
It's just stuff that we all knew was coming down the pipe since since probably late 80s, early 90s is when I kind of got exposed to a lot of this, where the world is heading and futuristic stuff. And if you were in the sci-fi and all that different stuff growing up, you knew we were headed to this kind of world anyway. So I'm not surprised. The key is we have to come up with the type of things that will allow us to not always be monitored, not really get off the grid because that'll be hard to do, but be able to trick the grid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but for a lot of us, we do things willy-nilly. All my neighbors all got the new meters.
Yep.
Except for me. And, we people don't realize that in New York State, it's required. It's New York State law that you have to get them changed.
Right, because when they changed them, they didn't come and knock on the door and ask you anything. They just came around and started changing them. But I'm a Trekkie, so I knew all this was coming.
Yeah. So, as a matter of fact, a good buddy of mine is one of the project scientists that was working on all this stuff, man. And it was pretty interesting because, a lot of people got these on their house, and the general attitude is, "Oh, that's great. So now I don't have to do this." And we look at it as a convenience,
right?
But not realizing that every convenience come with, some stuff underneath it that we need to concern ourselves with.
Exactly.
So
What do y'all think of the point where he said they could monitor the unique electric signal that everyone gives off with their appliances, and that could tell your patterns and your cultural patterns around your house?
The interesting thing is, I don't think everybody remember that yellow sticker that's on everybody's TV when they buy it.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving you the information right there.
Mm-hmm.
The energy saver things that we're buying now.
When you buy your refrigerator, your oven, your stove, all those electronic appliances and things like that, they all come with that yellow tag, telling you that information. And everything is unique. That's the thing. TVs operate in a certain range.
Right.
Radios
Exactly.
operate in a certain range. You know what I mean? Everything has its range that it operates in. So yeah, we can see that happening. And the key to it is we got to figure something out on how to, uh, kind of get them not paying attention or knowing what we're doing. But a lot of that too, we should know what's coming. Obama been telling us that for a little while now, that they were trying to put things in place like, your phone information, things like that. Because think about it, there were people who had phones back in the day, and you used to try to figure out how the hell you get a phone. We know you ain't got good credit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And what happened is, well, you can't get phones anymore under other people's name, in terms of, you made up a fake name and do all that stuff. But I can see why it's being done, man. Remember, we moving into that, social credit stage. This is
Yeah.
just one of the many pieces to the puzzle.
Y'all keep going. I'm gonna be right back. Y'all keep rocking out.
And so what's going to end up happening is, now everything that we do can be is monitored, and then not only are they getting that data, they're going to be able to then tell the provider, cut them off. They've used up their digital credits for the month, or they've used up their, they may not get many because of where they are sociologically, in terms of economics, in terms of education, in terms of location. So all those little things are going to be made into your social credit score that we're not paying attention to.
Yes, sir.
So if you want to get out from under your debt and everything else, you better file for bankruptcy before the year is out, so you can get your credit back up.
Yeah, man. I just don't like the way that, when they introduced these smart meters, and I even asked, like, when they decided to move the electric meter outside, I even asked. I was like, I asked some real in-depth questions, and I got some real phony answers. So I'll be writing a ton of complaints. I'll be talking to some folks. If y'all want to really, if you ever in the Rochester area or you in the New York area, there's this complaint group called Metro Justice, and they're putting together a pretty big suit, and they're at least fighting the good fight. I don't know how far they're gonna get, but they're at least fighting the good fight to make, at least in Rochester, upstate New York, make the electric a public utility instead of a private utility. Because right now it's a private utility that's a private public partnership with the state of New York. So we want to eliminate that and make it all public so that it's fairer, and we don't get surprised $600, $800, $1,200 electric bills only because it's the holidays. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
or whatever have you. I just don't like the lying. Don't lie to me. If I'm asking you what these things can do, and now I'm reading the expose that these things could read distinct electrical signatures all over your house, and monitor and damn near tell you what you're doing every step of every hour of your cohabitation in your house. And why are you lying to me, telling me that it's real vague, you don't know what it is, you don't know what it does? Yes, you do. You're trained in the stuff. Yes, you do. And one other thing, I don't know if you caught that in the clip, but in the clip they talked about how the police can subpoena this stuff, and they can get the record of your energy usage to see what your home habits are like, and they don't need a warrant. They could just subpoena this stuff.
Well, what's going to happen is they're going to have direct access to the systems that is monitoring that, so they'll have a redundant system that can look at this stuff, so they don't even have to ask them.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's coming too. I agree. That's that panopticon state. You're being watched all over and from all sorts of angles.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And that's the same thing with the with the cell phones,
right,
and everything else. And we want to say it's people who don't have much money, and they're trying to figure out if you're getting benefits. That's usually how it always starts.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're just going to roll it out to the general population after that and say, hey, well, you know what? It worked so well with just the poor people. Let's get everybody else now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the bigger problem is going to be we can have people who are going to buy into it because
Yes,
they don't
sir.
have the critical thinking skills to say, hey, this don't make no sense. And then you get those who, well, if you're not doing anything, you shouldn't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I just don't like being lied to. Don't tell me one thing, and on the other hand, you really it really does 1,000 things other than what you said it was. It really does, and try to
Yeah.
convince me that I'm, it's such a convenience to have this smart meter. You don't got to call it in. You don't have to check your meter. All these things. I don't even know that there's a camera in that thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Or a
Watching my
listening device.
watching my property, listening to my property. Exactly. Hey man, we gotta fight these things, man. We gotta stop being so damn, you know, congenial and just going with the flow. You know what I mean? Crazy
Mm-hmm.
stuff, man. Crazy stuff. Any last thoughts on this before I get into this next joint right here?
No.
Okay. So I got another clip I want to show you. I'm gonna share my screen, and this is more about madness that the orange man is trying to get into, and I mean I can't say that I didn't see this coming. I saw it coming because he was doing it, during his first term with all of the tax breaks and etc.
Hey, everybody. Remember how I told you that Donald Trump has forgiven over $1 billion in debts owed by millionaires and billionaires convicted of crimes? Well, he just added another $800 million to that total. I'm Liz Oyer, the former pardon attorney for the Department of Justice. During the first months of his presidency, Trump granted clemency to dozens of people convicted of crimes involving fraud, meaning cheating other people out of money. Under federal law, those convicted of fraud are required to repay the money that they stole from their victims, but not so for those who Trump pardoned. Donald Trump's pardons had the legal effect of wiping out the obligation to repay the money. In total, Donald Trump's pardons have wiped out over $1.3 billion in debts owed by wealthy Americans to taxpayers and victims of crime. These are the receipts that I've showed you previously. Now, Trump has gone a step further. This week, the Securities and Exchange Commission abandoned civil enforcement actions against 3 of Trump's wealthiest pardon recipients. The SEC is a government agency responsible for protecting investors by filing civil lawsuits against those who commit fraud. But now, under the leadership of a Trump appointee named Paul Atkins, the SEC is walking away from those efforts to protect victims of fraud. Here are the 3 lucky beneficiaries of Trump's generosity. The first is Trevor Milton. Milton was convicted of defrauding investors in his electric car company out of over $600 million. Milton got a pardon after he donated millions to Trump and hired Brad Bondi, the brother of Attorney General Pam Bondi, to represent him. Next is Carlos Watson, who cheated investors in his media company and owed about $97 million. Watson leveraged connections to Trump, including paying $1 million to a well-connected attorney. And finally, Devin Archer, who stole money from workers' pension funds and a Native American tribe. Archer owed about $60 million in penalties. He received a full pardon after he agreed to assist members of Congress who were investigating Hunter Biden.
All right, so there we have it. Trump Trump giving the good old boy special. What y'all think, man? I mean,
Par for the course. That's just what he does.
our utility bills get to be monitored by the IRS, but his homies who super packed him up get their palms greased. You know what I'm saying? No Diddy. I'm like, man, this dude is blatant. This dude is blatant with the foolishness, the foolish mint. And is there any way to stop him? No, I'm playing. There's a way to stop him, but will we do it? What's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts on Trump, playing the butter and biscuits, and is the American public gonna rise up with the cojones enough to stop him?
Nobody's gonna say anything because everybody's complicit.
Okay. I know you
and it's a smoke screen. It's a smoke screen for the fact that everybody keep asking for those Epstein files, and God forbid they get out and find out that they're the ones who's been trafficking little kids who's been going missing in this world.
We already know that. Yep.
Well, we still don't. We know that, but we don't know that.
We haven't had that paper proof keeps disappearing, and people.
We waiting for it to come out, and so we can find out. So whenever that stuff is when the people who are talking about that gets loud, or there's an opportunity for it to come up again in Congress, things happen.
Give him a cut.
Because remember, the day that CK was taken out, they had another vote on the floor to release the files, and the answer was still no again.
Collateral damage.
And so while everybody was crying over CK, the thing that they all said they want to know was taking place.
Yep. Smoke screen.
Every time, man.
Yep. Trump turning into the dope man. Dope man, hook me up.
Yeah.
Give me that special. Give me that rich man number 2 special. Just the way I like it. No taxes for 5 years on all my, multinational corporations. We good. I'll shut up. Yeah, man. So I just thought that was really interesting. That when the left hand ain't watching what the right hand is doing, it's up to some mischief. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Simultaneous mischief. You know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, you mind if I share that clip, that MSNBC clip you gave me earlier about that prognosticator telling the truth about wealth income inequalities in the country?
Oh man, that's why I send this stuff to you, man.
Yes, sir. All right, so let me go back. I don't know why Instagram is not letting. It has a little bit of a lag, so bear with me on the lag while I get this joint up, because let me see while we do that real quick, and that'll probably be the last one that we get into for the evening. But yeah, he told this one particular gentleman told some truths about it, and about income inequalities in the country, and I thought it was worth playing and getting into real quick, because that's kind of what we're dealing with as a society. How fast we head into that. What's the joint that Andrew Yang wanted? And he still might get it before it's all over. What's that piece that Andrew Yang wanted? Or at least he
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income. Thank you, brother. I couldn't think of it just now. Yeah, universal basic income.
Well, you may have to go universal basic income if they're talking about AI and robots taking over all the jobs.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. So, we try to spread this information. Okay, here it is. I got it. We try to spread this information so you have that awareness to move fearless on the show, and we can get you going, and you could be moving in the right direction with at least knowing what's going on, and then you could plan accordingly for yourself and for your loved ones. Let me put it up real quick. Share my screen. This share screen thing is lagging just a bit, so bear with us while we get this going. While we get this on, it's worth it. All right, so let me open this up.
80s, where say about pick a.
Hold on, I'm gonna start it over, so because this thing just started on me, I didn't. I'm gonna undo the sound and all that good stuff. I try not to, have my computer crippled with all of the videos, but downloading all these videos.
Incremental happiness. So why on earth would you not go back to a tax policy of the 60s, 70s, and 80s where, say, above, pick a big number, 10 million, you actually pay more than 10%, maybe more than 20%, maybe more than 50%, because the difference between 30,000 a year for a household and 50,000 is enormous to the well-being of that household. Low-income kids in low-income households have higher resting blood pressure, but the difference between making 10 million a year and 15 million a year offers you no happiness. But these individuals have weaponized government, and we risk revolution, whether it's CEOs being murdered in the street, whether it's a Me Too movement that had righteous components of it, or Black Lives Matter. What are these movements? They are targeting the wealthy. We are in the midst of a series of small revolutions to correct income inequality. And the reason we put an insurrectionist and a rapist in office is because for the first time in our nation's history, a 30-year-old man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. Why? Because the majority of households are having the oxygen sucked out of the room, such that a small number of individuals and a small number of companies can be worth more than nation states. Income inequality is out of control. Our tax policy has gone full oligarch.
All right, there we go. You guys' thoughts? Are we in an oligarch now, led by technocrats? What do you guys think? Is income? I already know. We know income inequality is out of control. It's been out of control since the 70s, so we don't have to really say that. Unemployment is wild. It's been wild for decades. But what did you think of what this guy did, and the honesty for him to actually say it?
Well, I think he's hit the nail on the head, and it has to be said. People got to listen, man, and it's sad that we don't. That we're still more concerned about, I don't even know who the latest rapper is, but we're just not into anything anymore, man. At one point in time, you can be the party man, but you still had a certain level of understanding of the society you lived in, and today people just really don't. And so these things can happen right in your face. They can tell you right in your face. You can experience this stuff. And most people psychologically are trying to live a certain way, but realistically, they can't.
And what's crazy about it is the psych op that's going on people will have you disagreeing and then agreeing once an authority figure asks you if you will agree or disagree.
Yeah,
Be mad
it's like,
and then as soon as someone gets in your face, it's like, no, I didn't see that car blow up. Boom! Oh my God, the car blew up. It killed 20 people. You ain't see that car blow up. No, I didn't. That car didn't blow up. It rolled down.
yeah. And then what's even crazier, man, is, for example, I happen to be flipping through. I was chilling at work today, so let me see what the social media world is like, and I was looking for some information on YouTube about a particular product, and I came across there was a Kevin Samuels link sitting there. I said, so you know what? Let me listen to this. Man, this sister's talking about brother need to make $300,000-$400,000 to be with her. I'm sitting here like, she said, and that ain't even really and that's the bottom scale, because that ain't even that much. And I'm just saying to myself, wow, we are out of touch.
Yeah.
And that's the part about this technology that a lot of us don't realize. we're out of touch. We're not reading, or we're not even listening to good information. We don't seek that. We seek out whatever's silly online so we can laugh and chuckle. Or, practically every young lady you see on Instagram, she's a model or a brand ambassador. Well, if it ain't no money being made, these brands ain't gonna be ambassadoring nothing. So what are you gonna do then?
Yeah, man, we're at we are at a crossroads trying to decide which way to go, and folks acting real slow right now. Folks acting real slow, like they can't pick up a book or read a PDF or here's some accurate information that will lead them to move themselves and progress in a positive direction, or even put somebody else on. But I tell you what, if you watch the Real HD show, we're gonna give it to you. You're gonna get that good information here, and then hopefully if you call in and you join the conversation, like Sister Aurora and Brother Mozzie, we can all share our information and be better off for it. So please do that. Please do that. And let's hire more people within our businesses too, so that we don't always have to depend on the the glass ceiling of applying to all of these companies and all of these businesses that really don't want us there. You see, it didn't take much more than a DEI mention for them to fire hundreds of thousands of people and hundreds of thousands of positions all over the country. It didn't take nothing but a mention, and people were out the door. You know what I mean? But what they really not
Yeah.
telling you is it ain't just black women suffering from all them job losses. It's a lot of white women suffering from them losses too. Shh, don't tell nobody. That's like one of the major secrets going on right now. They losing hella jobs in the 200,000 range as well. But they not pumping that right now. They'll pump, it's like the 70s and the 80s. They pumping the welfare queen nonsense. Meanwhile, you got Becky Sue is in line with the baby on the hip at the welfare office. You know what I mean? She just
Yep.
lost her. So anyhow, um, lastly, before we get out of here, I got this right here. Um, did y'all hear about the critically acclaimed writer and director that was arrested on a PATH train right outside of New York, New Jersey area, just because old school Karen didn't like his look or his posture?
Mm.
Did y'all hear about that?
No, I hear
No,
about that one.
I know the
Yeah,
video, the movie that he writes for.
right. He wrote a bunch of movies.
Yeah.
Really celebrated author. I don't know if he's a director, but he's a really celebrated author, screenwriter, all that good stuff. Got all the accolades and awards he needs. And because you know how brothers sit, bro. He might have had his legs open. He might have had his hand off there. He might have even been, smoking a joint. Who knows? But she felt so entitled. This particular Karen. So, I guess she was using her privilege. So, is this the return of this kind of bombastic Scottsville boys type of privilege, Central Park 5 type of privilege? I do declare Scarlett O'Hara sipping mint julep on the porch, pointing at folks, blaming folks for things that aren't really accurate. What do y'all think? Jim Crow isms of it all.
Yeah. Well,
For a
all I
couple
have to say
decades,
is, you know,
they were scared of it. They were scared of that. They were scared of making an inaccurate claim, or a false claim, or false profile on somebody. Now it's back. Now it's open season. Continue, bro. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, I'm just going to say that stuff is happening, and folks need to turn off Channel Zero, public. Those understand Public Enemy. And they got to understand what's going on, man. Because you know what? You don't want to wake up when it's too late and you don't want to roll up to a brother who knows what's going on, and he says no, and then you feel all your feelings are all hurt because they don't want to help you. Because we all have the same opportunities. You have shows like The Real HD and others trying to bring you this information so that you can move accordingly. And so our people we gotta wake up, man. We gotta wake up, because I'm gonna be honest with you, very few people are gonna be able to get in my house. You know what I mean? Nah, bro, don't come to my door. You ain't been to my door in 6 years. I don't know. Oh, nah. Couple. Remember how back in the day, in the old days, when you needed a cup of sugar and you ain't had time to run to the store, you just go next door and tell your neighbor, "Can I get a cup of sugar?" You gonna come next knocking on my door looking for a cup of rice? I'm sorry, bro. Sorry. You knew what was going down, but you'd rather be out there and get tatted and chase and create baby mamas and talk about all the superficial items that you have, but you ain't doing nothing about nothing else. So
See,
what do you want me to do?
Well, I see this as also. I mean, if we're gonna do, that, then why we're not pointing fingers at the CBC, Congressional Black Caucus, who are supposed to be advocating for things like that in a law or a legislative capacity, and these things have been going on since Emmett Till and before.
Yes, sir.
So where's the legislation to protect people from this, or to even put a panopticon focus on white ladies like this who like to do stuff like this?
Mm-hmm.
They like to roll into bagel shops and claim they're entitled in sedity to to whatever services are before anyone else. Get your butt in line like everybody else. Don't make up crap. Don't make up stereotypes, and because the authorities will side with you.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it that we're not suing people for this stuff enough? Sister Aurora, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we have to do. We got to start charging them, and making the right, making the wrong right, because they
Right.
keep doing it. And I'm like, come on, isn't it that we have laws against false, false testimonies or false, reporting, and so we just got to keep that up. I mean, it's good to know that places where these people have worked decide to take steps on, either firing them or terminating them based on the one little line that they have in most all contracts, unbecoming of, so like, yeah, you're unbecoming a teacher, unbecoming a stone, whatever it is, it's in any work contract that is out today. So you always have that ability to terminate somebody because you showed the world that you were not, you don't represent our values.
Yeah, why do you think we don't have any legislation on stuff like this? False profiling.
And we should,
Because
but white folks is the ones that's doing the false profiling. Okay.
the main reason why we don't, and James Baldwin called it out back in the 70s, he said that black people are internationally illiterate and politically unsophisticated. Therefore, we don't know what we should be doing.
Yeah, that part. The last thing I wanted to talk about in terms of this is, talked about some. Oh, I had a couple of years ago when I first started the show, there was another incident that came. Oh, the brother from Ryan Coogler, he was going into the bank to cash his big Black Panther check.
Mm-hmm.
Had a hoodie on. He had his suit jacket, but he had the hoodie underneath. They wouldn't even service him.
Yeah.
Now here
Ended
I
up
am
getting the
coming
cops
in.
called on him and everything.
Here I am coming in with 1% type of money to enhance your institution, Sister Aurora. I'm 1% money, right? Right? And they won't even service the man.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it? They thought the check was fraudulent or some
Yeah.
nonsense like that.
Or how has he got such a big number on his check?
Right.
He
Exactly.
had to steal it. He can't make that kind of money, Remember that went all over the place.
Exactly. And man, put it on their credit score, man. That's what I say. Lobby for
Yeah.
that broker. Lobby for that. Get people to put that in motion. Demond Meeks, all type of folks around here. Yeah, I'm calling you out for stuff like this. You my man, but I'm calling you out because this type of stuff got to stop. You a New York legislator, make it happen, and make them pay for it, man. They should have 300 credit scores, like the cats that mess with the firemen and basically terrorized him in the name of their jokes and laughter and amusement. They should have 300 credit scores. I don't care how much money you got in the bank. What say y'all on that?
Hey,
there are a lot of sanctions that I would think of.
That'll make them think real hard.
well, we headed that way anyway.
You know what I mean?
And now they're gonna see that all that nonsense they had going on, how it's gonna restrict their lives.
Well, that's what they're gonna start looking at credit, and they're gonna have some, because I'm waiting for the moment that they have some other gauge to monitor, because since more white people are defunct in their credit, they're like, oh, they're gonna change the rule.
Yeah.
They're gonna change that rule because it's more white folks whose credit is being affected, and who have bad credit. I mean, it's not us.
Well,
And
that's the credit whole thing is that's the gatekeeping apparatus.
yeah, and that's
just one more gatekeeping apparatus.
Yes, and they're gonna find the foot is on their neck so much so that they're gonna change that. I'm just standing by waiting until they change the rule, because I said, watch them change this, because
they were trying to do it. Weren't they trying to do it during the Biden administration?
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to, and I know a bunch of people sued the 3 big credit companies for not accurately changing their
and updating their because
right.
a lot of people kind of flooded in with that thing of denying, or they're supposed to have removed these things from your credit within a certain amount of years, and it's still there, and so
it's supposed to be months. It ain't supposed to take years. I think that was the problem. Like,
right,
and they're supposed to my guy. What's going on with you? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So we're at 45 after the hour. I want to thank everybody that came on the show tonight. I want to thank Brother Mozzie for taking time out of his busy schedule to always come on the show. Sister Aurora for taking time out of your schedule and everything you got going on to come on the show. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on all your notifications, share, and please leave some comments on the replay. Just don't be a voyeur, be a warrior, stand for yours. Let's get this awareness to move fearless. Share with the Real HD Show, and we will see y'all next Wednesday on the show. Same time, same channel. Get in here. Peace and walk with power. Y'all be good. Love on each other.